What's up, folks? It's your boy Derex, aka the Frisco Roamer. I've been living abroad for almost 10 years. I spent a few years in Vietnam. I spent a few years in Taiwan. I spent a year in Bogota, Colombia. And I left around 2013, 2014. So this was during the Obama administration. And you guessed it, I missed the Trump administration, I missed COVID, and I missed all the wacky, crazy stuff that we Americans love to do. Now, during that time, I wasn't completely in the dark, but I'm not a social media person. I'm also not a news person. While I was abroad, I was focusing on the country I was living in and things that were happening there. I was focusing on my personal life, social life, places I wanted to travel to. So I wasn't completely in the dark, but I definitely did not know many of the things that I learned. You can picture it to maybe even being in a coma for 10 years and then waking up to the shenanigans of today. Maybe not that extreme, but you get it. This video is about me returning back to the States. But what makes this different from other videos? Well, the timing. Y'all have been hella busy since I've been gone. This is an interesting time to be alive. That's the least I'll say. So folks, this is a two-part series. The first part will be about my research. So I returned back to the United States August 1st, 2022, San Francisco. 2 months prior in June, I started doing research. I started looking at news and social media and just trying to get a feel for the current climate and events that have been going on, in the past couple of years. The second part of the series is the reality and what has been going on for almost the past year, as I've been here for almost a year now. Are they the same? Are they different? The results might shock you. So make sure you watch both. Peace and keep being curious. What's up, folks? It's your boy Derex, aka the Frisco Roamer. So June of 2022, I decided to catch up and research what was going on back in the States because I wasn't in the loop. And I just kind of wanted to know what was going on, the current climate and what people are talking about and doing. So went on the internet, went on social media and decided to explore. And the first thing I noticed was y'all got hella soft. I mean, everyone is offended by everything. Everyone's triggered by something. There's disclaimers everywhere. I mean, the disclaimers weren't anything new, but, I had Netflix out in Taiwan, but they had stuff like a disclaimer for smoking. Like, seriously? Someone's gonna get triggered because someone's smoking? So, y'all became hella soft. And I don't mean that you guys aren't down to fight or kill somebody, but just really whiny and offended by everything. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't get offended by a lot. And I believe in freedom of speech, so people are free to say whatever they want. They're not free from consequence, but you can say what you want and then you can deal with the consequences later. But I'm not going to be offended. And I've had people tell me racial slurs, tell me to go back to Mexico. And granted, I don't like that, but I'm not going to whine about it. I'll just handle the situation as I see fit, depending on the situation. So that was eye-opening for me, and I was pretty disappointed because that's something I never expected, but oh well. The second thing I noticed was words don't mean what they used to. Primarily words like racist and racism and discrimination. I've been seeing those words being thrown
so loosely that I wonder if they even mean anything anymore. Or if anyone even cares if someone calls someone a racist. I mean, I've seen people calling other people racist just because they disagree with somebody. So a lot of catching up on new definitions for old words. That was also kind of weird. And this brings up the next thing. Since we're talking about racism and discrimination and racist, I discovered that in some circles I am now a racist. And that kind of surprised me since I've been beat up by cops for being Mexican. I've been called racial slurs for being Mexican and been told to go back to Mexico. And while you might see me and be like, that guy's not Mexican, my mom's Mexican, my dad's white, so I'm mixed. And depending on how much sun I get, how dark I get, and where I'm at and who I'm around, I could benefit from white privilege, or I can be a brown guy. And not to mention seeing the racism my mom had to go through growing up. So I'm kind of confused, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'm kind of a racist now in some circles, though I disagree. But again, you know, it is what it is. The next thing I want to address is the fake news. And, well, there's fake news on both sides. So I'm not going to subscribe to a narrative or an agenda. There's fake stuff everywhere. What bothers me about that is, well, it's news and it should be honest. It should also be told in a neutral way, and I don't need you to tell me how I should feel or react to something. If you present it in a neutral way and you present the facts, I can formulate a reaction myself. I don't need you. I'm an adult. I don't need anyone to tell me how to think or feel. So I'm not down with fake news, or actually I'm not down with anything fake, period. So not into that. By now, I'm not looking forward to coming back to the States. I'm just like, man, things have gotten super ridiculous. You know, I was gone during the Trump administration, and I wasn't following any of that stuff. But I'm looking at everything on all sides. It's just, you know, since I'm on the outside looking in, I'm looking at everything like, this is just ridiculous. What have you guys been doing this whole time? Now, this next one is kind of interesting, and it's kind of funny. So I found out that white people, especially white males, are the bane of existence and deserve to be exterminated. They are completely evil, and they are the problem for all the problems that we've had since the beginning of time. Everything is white people's fault. Now, 20 years ago, back in the early 2000s, when I was really researching history and things that I didn't learn in school, I wanted to learn about a lot of things. So I took responsibility for my own education, just like a lot of you are, going on the internet and researching things. And just like you, but only 20 years before you guys started doing it. And I grew a lot of animosity towards the United States for obvious reasons. I also really started disliking white people, mainly because of what I told you earlier about discrimination and white people telling me to go back to my own country or go back to Mexico when I was born here, telling me racial slurs, messing with my mom, messing with my friends. So back then, I would have been laughing at that and been like, ha, 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 that's good. You know, I'm so happy that this is happening. But after living in 5 countries and traveling to over 45, I see the same stuff in other countries. You don't have to be a white person to say any of those things or do those things. Everyone does it in every country. The only thing that's different is the races are different and the players are different. So I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm not gonna blame white people for all of the problems when everyone else is doing the same thing as them. So, and also, a lot of the times people think I'm white and I'm a male. So I don't wanna come back home and walk and just have some dude come and sock me in the face because I'm a white guy, or someone yell at me because I'm white. I'm not feeling it. So at this point, I'm really not excited to come back home, but whatever. It's too late now. I'm gonna come home anyway. See what happens, right? So there's a bunch of new words and terminology, especially among the LGBTQ community. Lots of pronouns, lots of new genders and all this stuff. And well, in Asia, we're not on that yet. So I know nothing about it, and I still know nothing about it. But I will say this, I'm a liberal, and the way I define liberalism is being open-minded and accepting of others, people's differences and opinions and whatnot. So you might say something I don't like or something I don't agree with, but I accept it. Now, I have nothing against transgendered people. I really don't care. It's not a big deal to me. If that's something you want to do, I wish you the best, and I hope for the best for you. On the other hand, I would say probably about 99 of the videos that I saw with transgendered people, your aggressiveness and your demanding nature of demanding people to address you a certain way, that doesn't really work for me. Who are you to tell me what cultures that I need to study or be interested in? Why should I take time out of my day to learn about trans culture when I might be more interested in Mongolian culture or Middle Eastern culture or hip hop culture or anything? Why should I stop what I'm doing to cater to you and do what you want me to tell you when you're being aggressive and pretty douchey? So again, wish you all the best. I have no issues with you, but I'm not going to take my time to learn about your culture because it's not one I'm highly interested in. And that's my take on that. And the final thing I want to talk about is the divide. Left versus right, you got the Trumpsters, you got the woke people, and then black and white. And I'll put all that together. I understand the woke people because 20 years ago I was one of them. I was really aggressive in the way I approach people about social justice. Only I didn't do it online. I did it at parties and functions and dinners. Any place I had an audience, I'd bring up an issue like, yeah, this Mexican kid got beat up by the cops the other day. Let's talk about it. But at that time, it was just me doing it. I'm sure there was lots of others, but no one wanted to hear that at the time. I was the downer of the party in ruining it, and I got really aggressive and frustrated. So I understand where the woke people are coming from. On the right, I feel some of the stuff you guys are saying too, but there's just certain things about the right that I just can't be a part of. And one of the things is I just don't think that many of them understand what it's like to be a person of color. Now, I've met people who are of color and never experienced racism, and I look like a white dude to you, and I've experienced a ton of racism. But again, it really comes down to perspective. So there's points I agree with on both sides, and I'll leave it on that. Now with the black and white thing, that shit just has me confused, because I'm from Frisco, San Francisco, California. It's not just black people that have issues with police brutality and racism or whatnot. You can't forget about my Latino brothers and sisters, my Asian brothers and sisters, especially those Cambodians, Filipino, Thai, the darker skinned ones. And all of that seems to be overlooked. Last I checked, the States is a very diverse place. It's not just black and white. And it's very apparent in San Francisco. I've seen police brutality among many of my American brothers and sisters, including white people, and racist things happening to other people of color. So yeah, I'm not subscribing to any narrative, any agenda. And Chris Rock said it best: selective outrage. And that's why I can't be down with many of you, because a lot of you are just being selective about your justices, and I can't be down with that. And that was one thing about me back in the day. It was, for me, it was about everybody. It wasn't a specific group that I was going to focus on more than another. It was just in general. And I'm never going to be like that. But so those are the biggest things that kind of hit me on the internet. Oh, and also monkeypox. So like a few days before I was returning back to San Francisco, there was a monkeypox outbreak, and I started freaking the hell out. Already all these reasons made me not want to come back. But with monkeypox, and I know nothing about it, and there's an outbreak in San Francisco, and I was coming back in 2 days, I'm just like, oh no. Call my mom, call my dad, call my sister. I'm talking to them, and they're kind of laughing at me because they don't see it as a big deal, but I do. But anyways, that was my research. And in the next episode, we're gonna see how much of this is reality. Because I've been back in the United States for almost a year now. And I have quite a bit to share. Stay tuned. Frisco Roamer. Holla. Peace. And keep being curious.